Honda and Toyota may get all the buzz when it comes to family sedans. However, Volkswagen is certainly no stranger to this segment. The company has been selling a version of a midsize family sedan since 1974. Now, fast forward several years, and what you're looking at is the 2017 Passat SEL Premium. This is the 7th generation of Volkswagen's family sedan. And this week, we're going to take a look at this SEL VR6 Premium. Is it worth a look in a heavily crowded segment? Let's take a look and find out. When VW was looking to replace the B6 Passat, the company knew they had to introduce a vehicle that would be more suited to the American market. The previous Passat was simply just too expensive and too cramped on the inside for the American taste, and it really showed in their sales. Now, as part of their quest to sell over 800,000 units annually here in the States, the company went with an all-new clean sheet of paper for the 2012 Passat. It was riding on their new mid-size sedan platform, NMS, and it was going to be built in the company's all-new plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, this Passat is very different from the European models. It's larger. It's about 4 inches longer overall, and it has a lot of styling elements to make it, very conservative, to make it more spacious, to make it more comfortable, really to go with the American taste for this market. Now, when you look at this current Passat, Volkswagen made extensive changes to this vehicle last year for 2016. You can see the front end has the traditional Volkswagen look. It's very conservative. It takes a lot of design cues from the Mark 6 Jetta, the one that's still currently in production. Now you can see the company did add LED headlights. You can add that as an option on SE and R-Line models. It's standard on SE Tech and SEL Premium, like my tester. They are full LEDs. You have LED daytime running light, LED low and high beams, and LED turn signals, and you also get halogen fog lights in the lower bumper. Now, I think the Passat certainly looks much more premium. It's very Audi-like. That's exactly what I said when this new generation Passat came out. It has the lines of an A6. It's literally almost as big as an A6. When you look at the size proportion, this vehicle has a wheelbase of about 110 inches long. It's about 191 inches long overall. It's literally the same size as your neighbor's Accord that's probably parked right next to it. Now, these 18-inch wheels are part of the SEL Premium model. If you guys want a bigger wheel design, you actually have to step down to the R-Line, which is kind of like an Accord Sport, where it has 19-inch wheels. It's a very good-looking car, honestly, at a very attractive price. Now, out back, they revised the taillights. They're full LEDs as well, just like the front. You have these dual trapezoidal exhausts on this VR6 model, which certainly look good. And I think the lines have definitely aged well. It's really hard to tell design-wise exterior that this vehicle came out in 2012, so it's aged well. Some of you may criticize it as being a little too conservative, especially when you look at really stylish sedans like the Mazda 6. But enough about the exterior. Let's take a look at the inside and see how it's aged compared to the exterior design. As I said earlier, the Passat is pretty old, and it really shows when you look at the key fob. It's the old switchblade Volkswagen key. I showed you a newer key on the Golf, the Mark 7 Golf, but surprisingly, even though the key looks super old, it does have push-button start with intelligent access. It even gives you a remote start, so if you want to actually start the vehicle up, just push this button here twice, or first push the lock button, then push this button here twice. And the vehicle starts right up for you. That was definitely a nice surprise. I didn't expect that from this particular car. Now, to lock the door, there's actually a sensor here on this touchpad. Just touch your finger there. That locks the door for you. The mirrors also will fold. To unlock it, just touch your hand on the back of the door handle. It has a sensor again, and that will unlock the door for you. Now, looking at the interior of the current Passat, you can see Volkswagen didn't really make that many changes to it. It still looks pretty much identical to the 2012 model when it first came out. You can see my SEL Premium tester comes with real cowhide. All the lower trims will either give you cloth or they'll give you the VTEX leatherette, the faux leather, which honestly, I think the seats are the best part of this car. They're super comfortable, super supportive. Of course, you get power seats, you have memory seats on this particular one, and the steering wheel is nice. It's a flat bottom design. It's nicely leather wrapped. Now, stepping inside, the Passat has that traditional sedan step-in height, of course, that you all expect, and you can see the interior has a nice, clean design, just like the exterior, where it's very conservative. Now, shutting the door, The door has a pretty heavy, solid feel. You expect that from a German car, and it sounds nice when it shuts. Now, when you to start the vehicle up, all you have to do is put your foot on the brake. The engine start button is actually down here next to the shifter. Push it, and it'll start right up for you. Now you can see the gauges, they're pretty traditional. You know, they're just the older, you know, style gauges. It's not the digital display, digital cockpit like I showed you in the Atlas, of course. That'll be coming probably for the next generation Passat. But, you know, the engine, it sounds pretty good. This is a traditional naturally aspirated V6, which I hadn't really had a chance to experience until I drove the Atlas, so I'll be curious to see how it feels in this lighter Passat with a dual clutch. Now, looking at the interior materials, it's pretty solid in here. Not class leading, but class competitive. The dash is all soft touch. It has a really nice graining material. I really like this textured plastic trim that kind of looks like aluminum. There's some faux wood, a gray colored wood accenting the rest of the cabin. The materials down here are hard touch plastic. That's kind of where it shows a little bit of cost cutting there. The door panels are also soft touch. The same stuff is on the dash, which is definitely better than what you get on the Jetta, which is hard touch plastic. The aluminum door handle here is a nice touch. There's more of that, you know, textured plastic with the wood, the fake wood. It's leather padded down here. The windows are one touch for the front. For the rear, they are one touch as well, and they're also one touch completely. So everything is one touch. It's nice to see that Volkswagen didn't skimp there. The steering wheel, it's tilt telescoping. Like the flat bottom design. I like the leather on the steering wheel. It's also pretty nice. There is no heated steering wheel, surprisingly. Some competitors are giving you that. As there's no heated and cooled seats. There's just heated seats. So Volkswagen still hasn't really jumped on, you know, offering that. I'll be surprised. I would be surprised if they didn't include it in the next generation Passat. Now, looking at the center stack here, this is really where you're going to see a lot of, you know, work that Volkswagen has to do. This isn't their newest head unit that I showed you in the Atlas, of course. It's a pretty small 6.3-inch display. This is the upgraded size. If you guys go to you know, if you don't get this upgraded size, you only get a 5-inch display. Thankfully, it does have the latest version of their in-car-net connectivity, and it gives you Android Auto and CarPlay. So the touchscreen response is good. I love the fact that it gives you the CarPlay and Android Auto. Mine has the updated system where you can actually put icons here if you need to access them or whatnot. So that's definitely very, very nice to have. Now, going to the main head unit here, you can see your different sources are all there. I always have it on satellite radio, which is nice. You know, it's pretty easy to go, you know, through the interface here. It's all very easy to use. You know, you have all your different buttons here, which is nicely labeled. The map display here is pretty much basic. It's not like the fancy Google Earth that you get on Audis, but of course Volkswagen had to save something for Audi. It does kind of have a proximity sensor, so that is nice. Icons will disappear and reappear as you move your hand throughout the system. Going to your menu display here, you can see it has all your different sources. The touch response is pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with the in-car-net. I just want this screen to be beefed up. Volkswagen has a newer system that I showed you in the Atlas. They're introducing it in the Golf. I expect it to show up in the Passat soon when they redesign this vehicle entirely. Looking at when you put the vehicle into reverse, you do have a backup camera. It doesn't give you trajectory, but it does have parking sensors front and rear, and it has distance markers. This vehicle even has a version of Volkswagen's perpendicular and parallel parking system, but I'm just surprised it doesn't have like a 360 camera. Some competitors have also started to offer that. Looking at the rest of the buttons here, like these three knobs. I like the knob for the radio and the tuning as well. You have dual zone automatic climate control. That's standard on all Passats, and Volkswagen gives you a nice place here where you can hide your phone and plug it in. And finally, of course, you don't have to use that proprietary cable. Volkswagen finally just is now using a standard lightning connector or USB connector like everybody else. Looking down here, you can see surprising amount of unused buttons. I imagine the European models probably, give us some additional features. This turns off your parking sensors. That's for the automatic parallel parking if you want to actually engage it to have it find a spot for you. Looking down here, nice cup holders, a traditional handbrake here, and the armrest here also slides forward. It has some decent storage in there, which is definitely nice. Looking at the glove compartment here, it's not lined with felt, but it is damped. It's pretty big, honestly, which is definitely nice because the storage is a little bit lacking over here. Looking above you, there is no pano roof available, but Volkswagen gives you a standard size sunroof. The control to open the sunroof is very old school. I haven't seen this controller since my Mark 6 GTI. So again, this is showing you that the Passat's in design is getting a little bit up there. But overall, I think the interior of the Passat has aged well. There are some elements, of course, that show you that it's aged. There's no full display here. The screen's pretty small, but I think for a lot of you, you're going to get in, you're going to know how to use it. It's comfortable, it's quiet, and it works, and it's easy to live with. One of the big selling features about this current generation Passat is the gigantic rear seat. Now, Volkswagen claims this is the best in class in terms of rear seat legroom, and I would have to agree with them. This back seat is bigger than the Accord, bigger than the Camry, bigger than the 6, bigger than the Altima, than the Fusion. This is a huge back seat, so if you want a big back seat, head over to your Volkswagen dealership, because that is the company who actually gives it to you. Now, stepping back here, you can see there's a crap ton of legroom. There's plenty of foot space here. I can literally cross my legs back here. So this is the back seat to have if you guys want something that's roomy. Now, shutting the door sounds nice and solid, just like the front. And Volkswagen actually carried over the soft touch materials. A lot of competitors give you hard touch plastic here, but not Volkswagen. It's nice and soft down here. You have that one touch window, of course. And they even give you rear seat vents. There's heated rear seats back here as well, which is definitely nice. There's a USB port right there. Now, there is an armrest down here that folds down. There's some cup holders. There's a little bit more storage. VW also gives you a nice little pass-through to get to the trunk over here, which is kind of stuck, or no, it actually folds open like that, which is definitely interesting. Not particularly ideal. The seats themselves, they do fold down 60/40, so they still give you that additional level of versatility, and you still get 2 map pockets in the front seat backs. Now, because the Passat got so big for this generation, the trunk is also equally massive. You're looking at around 15.9 cubic feet of space, just under 16, which is definitely tops in the class, about a cubic foot more than a lot of its competitors. The seats, as I said, they fold down 60/40, and if you look underneath the floor, VW still gives you a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. Underneath the hood of my top-of-the-line tester, you're going to find the most potent engine that Volkswagen offers in the Passat, and it's also a rarity. V6s are definitely starting to go away. This is, of course, a narrow-angle VR6, and it's a 3.6 liters. It makes a pretty nice 280 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It does have the company's direct injection. That's why you're hearing the ticking noise. So it's a pretty modern engine. Now, most of you will probably get the standard 1.8-liter turbo. That replaced the 5-cylinder that was in the earlier model years of this Passat. In 2014 is when Volkswagen started phasing it out. Now, this V6 is has power flowing to the front wheels through that 6-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. It's rated at 20 in the city, 28 on the highway. The 4-cylinder turbo is better at 23 in the city, 34 on the highway. The diesel, of course, is gone. There's no manual transmission available, no more all-wheel drive available. This is pretty standard stuff. Volkswagen is trying to keep it simple with the overall build of this car. This particular one weighs around 3,600 pounds. Let's get it out on the road and see how it all works, shall we? It's been a while since I drove this current generation Passat. I think I showed you guys like a diesel one several years ago. I was impressed with the diesel motor, which of course is no longer available, but I never really got a chance to drive the gas models, but I was pretty happy when VW dropped off this VR6 model. It's got 280 horsepower going to the front wheels. Let's get out on the road and see how it all performs, shall we? Oh, whoa. I definitely wasn't expecting that. Now, you know, as expected on paper, a dual clutch and 280 horsepower makes for some pretty, you know, nice acceleration. This car definitely moves out quick. Now, when VW first introduced this powertrain combination, it was easily the quickest in the segment at like 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. The Fusion Sport probably has surpassed this. However, you can't really deny the fact that this V6 makes pretty nice sounds. And when you use the paddle shifters here, whew, it shifts pretty quick. Now, I was expecting this to have some torque steer, and surprisingly it doesn't. You know, I did plenty of full throttle runs in this car, and the front wheels mostly stay pointed. There is a little bit of wheel hop when you get it going. It's too bad that Volkswagen doesn't offer all-wheel drive on this car anymore, but it's a pretty nice, pleasing combination to have. The rest of the Passat's driving dynamics certainly don't feel very German. Now, when this current model came out, VW really stressed the importance of making this car more to the taste of American buyers, and it shows. The steering is completely dead. It's numb. It doesn't really have much feedback. It's kind of disappointing, to be honest. I wish that it had slightly more feedback and just, told me what the front tires is doing. This car doesn't feel European anymore. It feels like a big American sedan, which is definitely not what the purists are going to like, but the typical American buyer is going to love the way this drives. Now, when you're just accelerating normally, the dual clutch certainly has the characteristics of a dual clutch. It shifts really quick. I find that at low speeds, it does tend to be a little jumpy. It's not quite as refined and smooth as some of the newer dual clutch systems that I've driven in some Audi products. Now, this is the older 6-speed unit. The 7-speed in the A4 that I've showed you guys is a brilliant transmission. This is still good, but you can definitely feel at lower speeds, it's not quite as smooth as it should be, and typical buyers are probably going to notice it's a dual clutch. Now, the rest of the driving dynamics in here are pretty good, honestly. I mean, it's really quiet. The ride is super soft. That's the trade-off that you had to pay for the, the handling being a little bit more mushy. And the visibility in here is good. The hood's nice and low. It is a long vehicle, but it doesn't feel cumbersome to me. Good side mirrors, nice view out of the front and out of the back. It's got a traditional sedan shape, so it doesn't have those weird styling elements on some of those other family sedans that you've probably driven. Now, even though this car has great visibility, it has a full suite of driver assistance tech on it. Now, most of this tech is going to be standard on the SE trims and up. My tester has adaptive cruise control, which does shut off at lower speed, so it's not full speed range. It does have lane departure alert with steering assist. It has automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection. So it has all those safety features that you expect in a lot of family sedans. Very nice sounding V6 for sure. It makes good noises. It does feel a little bit light on torque. So those of you who like to rev out a motor, you're going to appreciate the feel of this V6. Oh, wow. I'm impressed. Even though it does have trouble putting the power down just, in first gear tip in, this car definitely feels like a sub 6-second car when you get it going. Now, let's go through some back roads here. And you expect a Volkswagen to handle wonderfully like a German car. And this isn't bad. It's definitely not as, nice as the Mazda 6, the current one. You can feel the suspension is soft. When you go over bumps, the car just kind of wallows around, which is definitely annoying. It just doesn't feel very German. Now, most American buyers are definitely not going to notice this. It's really the European, Volkswagen faithful that are going to drive this. You're going to say, man, what happened to the Passat? It got fat, it got big. The dual clutch, surprisingly, still is good, and it will, shift nicely when you get it going. But, overall, this is a pretty competent car to drive. It's safe to drive. It's just not very engaging anymore. It doesn't feel like the old Passat when you really started pushing it through the corners. Now, coming up to my conclusion for this review, you probably are wondering, how do I feel about the Passat? Well, let's talk about a few numbers here. The fuel economy. The VR6 motor isn't the most efficient option for sure. I mean, when Volkswagen offered the diesel in this, it would easily get over 40 miles to the gallon. So this particular one is rated at 20 in the city, 20 out on the highway. Not bad. It trails other V6 competitors for sure. I've been averaging about 19 miles per gallon in mostly city driving. On the highway, I got it up to about 27 miles to the gallon. So not bad MPG. Definitely could use an improvement. Stick with the Turbo 4 if you guys are looking for the best fuel economy. That's probably the one that you're going to want. The price of the Passat is also another interesting area I want to talk about, because the old model, the old B6 generation, was easily about $5,000 to $10,000 more expensive than all of its competitors. When VW redesigned the Passat, and built it in amidst the American market, they really cut the price significantly. This current 2017 model starts at about $22,500. That's honestly the sweet spot in this segment in terms of pricing. That's for a base S model with an automatic transmission. That's right in line with the Honda Accord, a Camry, an Altima, a Fusion. Everything starts around the low $22,000 range. Now, my tester being the SEL Premium, of course, is the most expensive one. you pay about $3,000 for the V6 upgrade as well if you guys want the 6-cylinder. All in, my tester is around $34,500, which is definitely a big amount of money. However, it's literally as expensive as an Accord Touring, a V6 loaded Camry, Altima. A Fusion Sport can get more expensive. That can easily kiss $40,000. So, you know, it's not bad. I think personally the sweet spot for this Passat line is actually the R line with the 1.8 turbo with the lighting package. That I built online was like $25,000, which literally compares very well to an Accord Sport, although Volkswagen does give you the option of LED headlights, whereas the Accord doesn't offer that. I think that particular model with the 19-inch wheels, you know, the sporty appearance package, is easily one of the best looking family sedans. I think a lot of buyers are going to be pretty pleased when they see that, you know, in their driveways. So with all that said, would I recommend the Passat over so many other choices on the market? I can definitely say that the Passat has its place in this segment. It has some hints of that German charm and the powertrain. However, the handling and ride has definitely taken a hit, and it feels kind of anonymous a little bit. I find trouble pinpointing, you know, what this car's trying to be. It's definitely, you know, trying to still offer that Volkswagen flavor, but they really numbed everything down for the American market. Personally, I would say look at an R line with the 1.8 turbo. The V6 is great, however, it makes the front heavier. It doesn't handle quite as well. The suspension is too soft. Try the turbo 4-cylinder with the R line package. I think that would be a great comparison between a Mazda 6 Touring and the Honda Accord Sport if you guys want to stick within the 4-cylinder. And the turbo engine in the Volkswagen is certainly a nice reason to choose this particular car over, you know, its other Japanese competitors. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview of the 2017 Volkswagen Passat SEL Premium. If you're looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.